Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to the 9 p.m. live English news edition. The headlines. The head of state presides over the International Mother Language Day. For international use, Russia registers a third vaccine. New Zealand launched its campaign. Hello, welcome again. Welcome to our newsroom for having the news in details. As every year, the Republic of Djibouti celebrated early this morning World Mother Language Day at the People's Palace. This day, placed in the patronage of the President of the Republic, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, organized by the Ministry of Waqf in close collaboration with Afar and Somali Pen, took place at the People's Palace. This day sends a strong plea for a better consideration of national languages. Indeed, this day reflects the importance of national languages as Afar and Somali, vectors for preserving and developing the national heritage.
مري أنا نواقي كل شذا تيولا إيدين دحي اكتادك وصوم مغلوب وصور دبق علي محفظا
وحان أفريكا بكري على كل قاقيو تاريخ لدى فكرة أيام نوليغان توغو قرانو صدقدي إسماعيل الله كدو
إسماعيل 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 الله كدو إسماعيل 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 الله كدو
وحان أفريكا بكري على كل قاقيو تاريخ لدى فكرة أيام نوليغان توغو قرانو صدقدي إسماعيل الله كدو
إسماعيل 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 الله كدو إسماعيل 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 الله كدو إسماعيل 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 الله كدو.
Upon his arrival, the number one of the Republic of Djibouti, Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, accompanied by the First Lady and President of the National Union of Djiboutian Women, Mrs. Khadra Mahmoud Haid, was welcomed by Prime Minister Mr. Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed and the Minister of Waqf, Mr. Mumin Hassan Barre, and the President of the Afar in Somali, PEN. Together, the President and the First Lady had a visit from the Ministry of Books stand on the language themselves in terms of culture, the rich rudiments of Afar in Somali and linguistic novels, collection of poems or gabay, all written by Djiboutian intellectuals and young authors. The President was greeted by a packed room of government officials and youth who had a special interest in language and multilingual education but are becoming more aware of the multiplicity of linguistics and cultural tradition in the world. The mother tongue, Afar and Somali are the main element of socialization, reflecting our cultural and linguistic diversity, in effect allowing people to express themselves and communicate. Afar and Somali give us all cultural identity, provide education, facilitate social integration and promote sustainable development.
رسول السكات لتاما أبينا راح نقيسة كيبوتك كابتو قصو ما عيتا
نمونا باوكم السكاتا إنكي منا وريكو إنا عنا نيتي إنكي مكوية وقري مد كوي يورينا بكو ندان واجبكو يورينا بكو
The Director General of the Regional Academy of Language and representative of the Heritage Institute stressed the importance of organizing this event and learning human and capital languages in necessary to communicate with the children of other peoples and to promote linguistic and cultural diversity in the world. The Minister of National Education Vocational Training, Mr. Mustafa Mohammed Mahmoud, said that the interest in the mother tongue reflect positively in the quality of education in general. Now, the Ministry of Islamic Affairs, Culture and Endowment commended the effort made by His Excellency, the President of the Republic, His Excellency, Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, to develop local language For his part, His Excellency the President of the Republic, Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, who sponsored the activity of the International Mother Language Day at the People's Palace, began his speech at the end of the occasion by welcoming the guests from neighboring countries, stressing at the same time the tangible importance of the mother tongue in various aspects of life. In the second part of his speech, the President of the Republic hammered that our languages are the factor of cohesion between our community. We will have to make a bridge that bring us closer to your neighbors. It is through the mastery of our mother tongue that basic literacy skills such as reading can be acquired, as they transmit culture, values, and traditional knowledge, thus playing an important role in promoting a sustainable future. We will have to ensure that our languages can be the foundation of our wealth for the future of our people.
idin rajaynayaa ciid wanaagsan dalkeennu ha noolaado afafkeennuna ha noolaadaan assalaamu calaykum waraxmatullaahi wabarakaatuh.
On this occasion, gifts were distributed to all the candidates who won the contest organized on this occasion, dedicated to the celebration of International Literacy Day, which falls on February 21st of each year. Another news now, the Ministry of Labor in charge of administrative reform, Mr. Osman Ibrahim Roble, yesterday concluded the work of the National Employment Forum, which the People's Palace is witnessing spread over 3 days. During 3 days of forum, participants were able to discuss all the topics on the agenda with the support of international experts. During their meeting, the participants discussed the need to contribute to the exchange of successful experiences between brotherly and friendly countries, and to raise the level of training provided to the trainees according to the needs of the labor market, especially in the area of occupational health and safety, improve the labor market information system, and the importance of the challenges of decent work. At the end of the session, a list of recommendations was presented during this career forum by a member of the organizing committee. On the sidelines of the closing ceremony, the Djibouti Declaration for Decent Work was signed before the public under the title All for Decent Work. The agreement was signed between the Ministry of Labor in charge of the administrative reform, the coordinator of the UN agency in Djibouti, the social partners, and the head of civil society. Now, the President of the Council of Civil Society Organizations said that the competent and professional people at all levels in all areas, and that these recommendations have been chosen here and to discuss the challenges of the issue of employment, and that the civil society will continue its initiative towards for young people to obtain decent work. In turn, the General Secretary of the General Union of Djibouti Workers stressed for his part the importance of this employment forum, in which various people in different companies in the country participate. Now, the coordinator of the UN agencies in Djibouti, Mrs. Barbara Menzi, said in her speech that this event is the first of its kind in the country, because it saw the participation of activities of companies or various sectors such as health, safety. The event was also attended by representatives of the government, civil society, and technicians, because the discussion held between officials were largely constructive, and this shows that everyone agrees on a common idea and commitment to achieve their goal. In turn, the President of the National Federation of Djibouti Employers welcomed this important event for the country and said it was a wonderful moment for us, thanks to the political will of officials. Now, the Ministry of Labor in charge of administrative reform at the beginning of his speech thanked all the participants of the Employment Forum for their continued work and said, and I quote, "As I speak on behalf of the government on this occasion dedicated to the conclusion of the activities to the National Employment Forum, I address the Honorable Presence to thank and appreciate your effort and dedication during the 3 days of the forum working period. In this context, you have organized useful and constructive consultative meetings for the benefit of the inspiration and hopes of the people of Djibouti. And I take this opportunity to thank you for this valuable effort to address the challenges that hamper the process of combating poverty and reducing the unemployment rate in the country." Now, the Chief of General Staff of the Djiboutian Armed Forces, General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim, received in the Hall of Honor of the Sheikh Osman camp Mr. Fabrice, Deputy Head of the European Union Delegation in Djibouti. After an invitation received by the European official of General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim, noted that Djibouti, in addition to its logistical position and thanks to the generous policy of the President of the Republic, Mr. Ismail Mergele, plays a central role in establishing security and stability in our region and the world, and this reflects the deployment since 2000 of the African Union mission in Somalia to establish security and peace in borderly Somalia. The National Navy and the Djibouti Coast Guard are also actively participating in the mission to counter prevailing insecurity and piracy in the Gulf of Aden and the Indian Ocean. The Saudi medical mission in the country arrived today, Friday, and began organizing a medical and surgical convoy to Pelti General Hospital in urology and surgery for children under 15 years of age. The Saudi medical mission will perform 80 surgeries as part of the mission organized by the King Salman Humanitarian and Relief Center. This mission is also composed of specialized and qualified doctors in the fields of pediatric and urinary tract surgery. And these surgeries carried out by the Saudi medical mission have been successful since its first day. Another news now, the Omar Gelle Ahmed Teacher Training Center for Basic Education hosted this morning a ceremony to launch a training course to strengthen teaching and learning through ICT for the benefit of school principals and teachers of all new order of education in the capital. The General Director of Education, Mr. Abdi Dirgiri, honored with his presence this training conducted by the expert trainer, Mr. Abbas, for the benefit of many teachers and principals. It should be noted that the strategic plan of RIATIC of MENFOP is part of the many projects that are underway to make the ICT ecosystem a lever for growth in other socio-economic sectors in improving the welfare of people. The strategy of teaching and learning through ICT allows through the use of ICT to improve the performance of students and optimize teaching practices, as well as the monitoring, evaluation of teaching, learning, and a better management of the educational system. Moving on to international news now, Russia has registered its third vaccine against COVID-19, a step towards the final phase of clinical trials. The Prime Minister announced Saturday, promising to accelerate production rates. By the middle of March, the first 120,000 doses will be released. Russia is today the only country where 3 vaccines are already available, Mikhail Mishustin told a televised government meeting. Called Covivac, the third vaccine was developed by the Shumakov Research Center in Moscow. Russia has already registered Sputnik 5 in August and Epivac Corona in October. Since January, Russia has been conducting a massive vaccination campaign of its population. This is it for this edition of 9 p.m. Thank you for watching us and have a wonderful evening.